Okay, I'm here if y'all need anything. I can't hear you though. I think you're muted. You're going to get a live stream pop up and you're going to get a weird echo if you don't take it down.
Of the hour too. Is there anything I should or
No,
just
I think it's fine now. I think you'll just do it soon. Um, oh yeah, I'll want to have. I have no idea how to use this. This is what management uses as a conference call. Yeah, I can use it. Yeah, 2 hours for conference plus 10 minutes for discussion, debate, Q&A. But I can walk you through that.
5 minutes for gallery input.
Yeah.
You're right.
And do your magic trick.
You see nothing, come on.
Yes.
Designers are just hiding there. No, she's not. She's Florence Technique. Yeah. She's out of Minnesota Medical Clock. I love that. Amazing. No, Sam literally the other week and was like, please come back, please come back, please. I like, oh, that's like a leadership position at the rest of I had.
Oh.
What?
No. So.
I'm scared.
Election of the
Under gallery.
both the oval copy and piece.
Yeah, but I need to add. Okay.
You know,
I don't blame.
Just be slammed and this. I know.
Since we're 5.6, we might be going to the center.
I'll just be taking.
So should I just kind of.
I'll say when we get to consent agenda, I'll say that since that wasn't sent out in the week now, that would entertain a motion to take that. I think so. We can wait until then to do that.
So I think it's the fit, right? As always.
I try to go for the opposite occasion every week.
Y'all don't have to take off the bill off the agenda since I'm not gonna be there to present it.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
But I'll.
Did y'all get the presentation from Cole Johnson?
Yes.
You got the clicker.
Oh, nope.
I mean, is there an issue going on? What's happening?
Hold your eyes. Yeah.
What should I draw on each agenda? Oh my god, that's kind of genius. You're genius. Oh, I hate it. I guess if I can give it to Is that Abraham Lincoln?
Maybe it's just like.
I'm gonna get the vote box on it. Can you sign your name?
It's very
Sense for Johnson. Was it the same?
Yeah. I think it should be fine. Beyond that, YouTube's on, Zoom's on, like good to go.
Yeah. Oh, I think so. Do we share the screen?
Yeah, maybe. Oh, yeah. So let's pull up the agenda. What else? You can put that on the. It's on.
Should we share the screen?
Yeah.
I understand how fun it is.
It's 1-1. Yeah. Okay, there we go.
I'm so proud.
Did we get it?
Yeah, looks great.
Cool. Right. Okay. Let's get this done. Howdy, folks. Welcome to the 14th session of the Senate of ASCSU. To begin, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll now move into the land acknowledgement video.
Colorado State University acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples.
This is also a site of trade, gathering, and healing for numerous other Native nations.
We recognize the indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land and all the relatives within it.
After these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, the
ties nations have to their traditional homelands are renewed and reaffirmed.
CSU is a land grant institution, and we accept that our mission must encompass access to education and inclusion.
And significantly, that our founding came at a dire cost to Native nations and peoples whose land this university was built upon.
This acknowledgement is the education and inclusion we must practice in recognizing our institutional history, responsibility, and commitment.
We'll now move into the swearing in of new senators and associates. So if we have any senators and associate senators who need to be sworn in, you can come down. Seeing none, we'll move into beginning roll call.
Speaker Taylor,
Present.
Speaker Pro Tempore Reese. Present. Parliamentarian Camberg.
Only kind of present.
Nice. Officer Kelly.
Yes.
Senator Laura Pardo. Senator Herrera. Associate Senator Rodriguez. Present. Senator Melchior. Senator Sandoval. Senator Buchel. Present. Chair Miller. Present. Senator Monati.
Present.
Senator Evelyn Rivera. Senator McAllister Johnson. Associate Senator Archibald. Senator Zia Abadi.
Here.
Senator Craigle. Present. Senator Gunsell. Senator Lee. Present. Chair Myers.
Present.
Senator Leggett. Associate Senator Lucero. Associate Senator Brannock.
Present.
Associate Senator Cole Johnson.
Present.
Senator Yoslin Rivera. Present. Senator Alvarez. Associate Senator Barron.
Present.
Senator Adelaide.
Present.
Associate Senator Smith.
Present.
Associate Senator Bachman.
Present.
Chair Snyder.
Present.
Senator Malka. Senator Tomas Sorrell. Present. Senator Tapia Rodriguez. Present. Senator Falba.
Present.
Associate Senator Tall. Present. Senator Salazar. Senator Green. Present. Chair Frisky. Present. Chair Davis.
You.
Senator Luna. Present. Senator Gray. Present. Senator Yakowski. Senator Pickerel.
Here.
Chair Lutz.
Here.
Chair Facey. Associate Senator Group. Associate Senator Harris. Present. Senator McLaughlin.
Present.
And Senator Gilroy. Okay, that is it.
With that, we'll move into the consent agenda. Do I see any dissent to the agenda?
Mr. Speaker, I would like to dissent to that. Sorry about this, you're gonna have to bear with me for a second. The motions. For my first motion, I would like to add BSOP ratification to the agenda and put it right under gallery input. So I'll just make that motion first.
Okay, does that motion have a second? Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, seeing none, that change will be shown.
Election of students of the Oval Caucus Chair, also under gallery input. This is so our Chief Justice can get home early and do the work she needs to do. Thank you.
Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, seeing none, that change will be shown as well. That was below gallery input? Yeah. Do I see any additional dissent to the agenda?
I have a point of order more so than dissent. I know that there is an issue regarding the 54 minutes or resolution 5406.
Oh, yes.
Because the correct version was not sent out. Do we intend on reading that in full, or how do we maintain accessibility?
So because that was not sent out in the weekly email, for the accessibility guidelines outlined in the Constitution and the bylaws, we will not be seeing that today. So if that's a motion to take that off the agenda, just for simplicity, that would be fine.
Yeah, I'll motion to remove that from the agenda.
Okay. Do I see any dissent to that motion? Seeing none, resolution 5406 will be taken off the agenda. And with that, we'll move into gallery input. Do I see anybody in the gallery who wishes to speak? You'll have 5 minutes.
Hi, I just wanted to get up here and express my support for Bill 5408 funding of the ASCSU EMS service. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a pre-med biomedical sciences student that is currently studying to take the national registry exam to become an EMT. Becoming an EMT is a great way to get clinical hours for pre-med students while also helping out the community. Around 500 hours of clinical experience at a minimum makes an applicant competitive in medical school applications. So getting as much clinical experience as possible is absolutely crucial to success. These hours are difficult to get when most EMS jobs are full-time. EMTs tend to work long hours. When I did my clinical hours to complete my EMT program, I had to go down to Denver to do 2 12-hour ambulance ride-along shifts, which took a toll on my ability to study for my exams and go to my classes. I didn't get home until 3 a.m. both times, and I was exhausted and unable to focus in my classes and days afterwards. And I only had to do that twice. So this only really scratches the surface of how hard it is to be a full-time student and an EMT. This bill provides students with a better opportunity to focus on schoolwork while also preparing them for medical school applications. Additionally, when I was looking at colleges back in 2022, one of the selling points for me to go to other schools was the fact that these schools had their own EMS services on campus. So providing funding for an EMS service at CSU is something that can draw new students towards CSU as well. CSU has a great amount of resources for students, and I think that an EMS service is an incredible addition. I realize that $20,000, it feels like a large ask. However, I would like to urge everyone to consider how this is an investment in helping aspiring healthcare professionals and strengthening CSU as a whole. The benefits of this legislation extends far past the dollar amount. Thank you.
Do we have anybody else in the gallery? And you will have 5 minutes as well.
Hello, everyone. I am coming to you right now at this moment, not as a senator, but as a student of color specifically. Last week, we heard members talk about community and how we need to be in community with each other during this time of uncertainty. I would like to add to that sentiment tonight by urging everyone not to stay silent. Earlier today, I was walking from my car, which was on the other side of the military science building, to the Laurie Student Center with my head down, lost in my own little world. When I hear a voice next to me, a man's voice, telling me that it's time for me to go back to the fields. Before I even realized what was said, I turned around to confront him. He was a ways away. All I saw was that he was taller than me, light-skinned, and wearing a red hat. That literally could have been anyone. I went to a place with people I trust, and they urged me to say something and to not stay quiet. So I did, and I'm not. I filled out a bias report, but those can only do so much, if anything. So I'm telling you this story here tonight. I wish I could tell you that this was the first time something like this has happened to me, but it's not. This is, however, the first time something like this has happened to me on this campus. We as a community cannot stay silent. There are resources here on campus where you can find community, where you can talk to someone, where you can be heard. Me telling you this story isn't going to make that person come forward and own up to what he said, what he did. It isn't even going to stop the nasty comments or narratives that people have. But what this will do is bring these things to light. We are not going to hide in the shadows anymore. We can't. If you take anything from this message, let this be this. Let it be this. Don't stay silent anymore. Say something. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else in the gallery who wishes to speak tonight? Seeing none, we'll move into the VSOP ratification. Yeah, if you come down and just kind of introduce the candidate.
Hi, my name is Jasmine. Hi, my name is Jasmine David. I'm currently the senator person. Celine came to our BSOP meeting yesterday, and Tangia and I both agreed that she's a wonderful candidate for BSOP. And we are here ratifying her tonight so that we can give her the adequate financial training to be prepared for the spring semester. And we will likely be voting on event funding and travel grant while we're away for winter break. So it's really important that we get her ratified tonight so that she's prepared and has all the tools she needs to be successful with BSOP.
And with that, we'll open it up to 10 minutes of Q&A. Senator Boyd.
So right, motion to previous question.
Does that motion have a second? Does that motion have any dissent? Okay, then with that, we'll move into discussion and debate, so you can take a step outside. Yeah. And with that, we'll move into 10 minutes of discussion and debate, beginning with Chair Snyder.
Okay, vote. The votes are good. Motion to approve this candidate with unanimous consent, right?
So that would be a motion to approve his question to move into voting.
Yeah.
Uh,
Previous question.
Does that motion have any dissent? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into voting, and I believe we had a motion to approve this candidate with unanimous consent. Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, seeing none, then this candidate is ratified unanimously.
Removing that. I appreciate it.
Please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Josephine Rivera,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to defend and uphold
to defend and uphold
the rules and regulations
the rules and regulations
set forth by the Associated Students of Colorado State University
set forth by the Associated Students of Colorado State University
and will rightfully perform the duties of my office
and will rightfully perform the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
And with that, we'll move into the election of the students of the Oval Caucus Chair. Do I see any nominations or self-nominations to this position?
Nominate.
Can you speak in about that?
I nominate Laura Pardo, or Senator Laura Pardo.
Do you accept that nomination?
Yes.
Do I see any additional nominations or self-nominations at this time? Seeing none, you can come down and present yourself. You'll have 10 minutes to kind of speak about anything that you want to, about why you want this position or anything you want to talk about.
Hello, everyone. Good to see y'all. So I know that not everyone has the time commitment to come to Senate, be a senator, and things like that. So for student of the Oval Caucus, it's kind of like a bridge between ASCSU and the student body. And in a way, I kind of want to just give power back to the students in order for them to like see that they have the power to create systematic change within the university and things that they're like passionate about and like issues that they want to fix. Like I just want to give that power back to the student body in order for them to attend a university that feels that they where they are represented, where it feels like they are heard, where it feels like they are seen. That was it.
Then we'll begin 10 minutes of Q&A. Senator Boynton.
Hi, glad to see you up there. Do you have any ideas for like if a student came to you with like an equity issue, how would you go about working with that?
I think that I would start with like kind of like seeing what that issue entails, like seeing kind of like, oh, well, what part of like kind of like just really dissecting the issue and then maybe coming up with like a resolution or a bill or something like that. And then seeing like what steps we can take as students, because I think that students don't realize how much power they have if things are student led. And I want to allow students to see that. I want to get students to see that with their student voice, they can create a lot of change in the university. They just have to use it and stop hiding in the shadows and kind of just be themselves.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're up there. I yield.
Thank you. Senator Rivera. No. Senator Luna.
Yeah, I have two questions. The first one, are there any like specific initiatives that you're planning to do in this role? I know you talked a lot about bridging the gap between students and student government, but is there anything else you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I think the main thing, as like I mentioned before, is just giving power back to the students. I think that we have the power as senators to create a lot of systematic change, and I think that my like number one goal right now is to address an accessibility issue on our campus. And it's small things like replacing hooks, replacing locks, tightening the screws on the stairs for able-bodied individuals. It might seem like something so small, but I think that we need to be more considerate of our students here on campus and fix those things in order for them to feel like the university is there with them.
Yeah, and that's great. And the second question was, like with interacting with students who are maybe not specifically coming for like student gov related reasons, like maybe they're looking for an advocate for another means. I imagine working with a lot of different like student needs, you're gonna probably encounter spaces in which like ASCSU, like writing a bill resolution may not be the solution they need at the point. So you might have to be like working with other campus partners, things of the sorts. It can become really taxing when you're really networking with all of these like different departments, boards, etc. How will you manage your well-being doing that?
So I think that when it comes to taking care of myself, I like to take care of others. And I think that that's what fulfills me as a person. By taking care of others, it's the way that I take care of myself. So in order for it to not be taxing, I think that obviously like self-care is really important. Obviously like Monday through Fridays when I'm working, and then Saturday and Sunday, like I am resting. I'm setting that boundary very clear, but also for things that like we can't do at like a student government level. I always believe in the saying of like if they say no, you're asking the wrong person. So I will go the extra mile for these students in order for them to have an advocate here on this campus, and I will go that extra mile in order for them to feel seen, in order for them to be heard, and things like that.
Yeah, amazing answer, Charlie. I guess.
Thank you. Chair Miller.
Hi. So you're pretty new to ASCSU, correct?
Yes.
How confident do you feel about connecting students to ASCSU related resources?
I think that I have the team, and Micah has been in the space longer than I have, and I think that we can work together in order to connect them to those resources. Although I am new to the space, I think that I'm a very fast learner. So obviously, I make sure to work with my team in order for them to be, in order for those resources to be allocated. I'm also working with Jakai back there. So yes.
So great follow-up question, which you already answered, but I'm gonna ask it just in the intention of potential elaboration, if any. How would you go about a situation where you don't know what resources to provide a student with?
I think that there's a lot of individuals on this campus that do have those answers. There's a lot of individuals on this campus that can give me those answers in a way, and it's all about connecting with those individuals. It's all about asking the right questions, asking to see where we can go ahead and start, because I don't ever want to leave a student empty-handed. I think that there is a lot of power behind student advocacy in order to create that change. So I think that it would just be asking around, saying who will have the answer.
Beautiful. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you. Chair Maya.
Thank you for doing this. This is an incredibly important thing for you to do. My question is, how are you going to market this caucus to students?
Yes, so I've been already started working with the marketing team, the ACSU marketing team to be specific. And the way that I'm advocating this is kind of like seeing what goes on within Senate, but also just like the idea of like, hey, you have a voice, like you should use it, and kind of just advocating, just giving back the power to the students. Right now, the plan that I have in mind is reaching out to fraternity and sorority life and seeing if there's any leaders within fraternity and sorority life that would like to step up and be leaders within this caucus and kind of just like start spreading the word around. It would be really cool if you guys started attending our caucus, please. So yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you. Is it Senator or Associate Senator? Associate Senator, go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, so glad to see someone as special as you are, who
going to this position. And my question is, I'm representing the graduate students, so you said that the position is allowing you to be a bridge, so a bridge between the students. So can you help the graduate students also with some questions if they arise?
Yes, of course. I think that it's really important to also have a bridge there because I think that as much as like, undergrad students have a voice, I feel like graduate students' voices should be heard as well.
Okay, great. And then the second question, you said that this position can allow you to achieve something really good and interesting. And my question is that, do you know like any examples of what this position can achieve? So like you said that it allows you to achieve multiple goals, but any examples like of previous things that were done on this position someone before you?
I know that this position is very new. I know that this caucus is very new as well. So I would be the individual stepping into this role. But I want to uphold the morals and values of the past individual and kind of like the goals that they had. But I think that my number one goal right now is like accessibility and maybe building a resolution for the university to provide funding in order to fix those small things like the locks, as well as like the loose stairwells or not stairwells, what are they called? Those stair railings. Yeah, I got it, guys. As well as kind of just like the hooks and things like that. So I would start there and then kind of just see how this caucus emerges. But my goal is to make it a big thing. I want students to feel included in this space. I want students to feel like they have a voice in this space because I think that that's how we can go ahead and start having numbers trickle in as well as having individuals feel more represented on this campus. So yeah, that would be my number one goal.
Yeah, thank you.
Senator McLaughlin.
How do you plan on making sure that students that come to the caucus are represented when their problem is that they're not being represented by the senator for their college or cultural center?
I think that in that case, it would all be about communication and conversation. I think that in that case, I have a conversation with the senator, be like, hey, when you stepped into the space, you vowed to represent the student body. You can't be selected when you're doing that. So I feel like having a conversation with that senator and ensuring that that senator knows that they're representing the student body would be good.
And did you yield?
I yield.
Awesome. And Senator Boyd. And we have 1 minute left, by the way.
Thank you. What are your pronouns? Find joy, love you in my journal, and I can.
My pronouns are he, him.
Okay, thank you. I yield.
Thank you. Any final questions? Seeing none, you can take a step outside. We begin 10 minutes of discussion and debate with Senator Boyd.
Does anyone have a single reason why I would not be good for this position? I didn't think so. Motion of previous question.
Second.
Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into voting. Chair Snyder.
Motion to approve this candidate with unanimous consent.
Do I see any dissent to that motion? Seeing none, this candidate is passed with unanimous consent.
Please repeat after me. I state your name.
Oh, hello. There we go. I, Vladimir Lopardo,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to defend and uphold
to defend and uphold
the rules and regulations
the rules and regulations
set forth by the Constitution
set forth by the Constitution
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
and will rightfully perform
and will rightfully perform
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
And with that, with no guest speaker, we'll move into executive reports.
Good evening, happy Wednesday, everybody. Okay, quick show of hands. Who all was here when the senator and the congressman came to visit Allen Plaza for that? Okay, sweet. We've got a few. So for those that we're sending them two thank you letters, one for the senator, one for the congressman. If y'all could just give that a signature, running low on space, so probably don't really write too much if you are wanting to do that. But feel free to go into the back as well. Yeah, just give that a signature with your name. That would be appreciated. I'll pass it around, and that is all I have.
Hello, beautiful people. If you don't know me, my name's Georgia. I use she, they pronouns. I'm the director of basic needs for ASCSU. So we focus on housing and food security among a bunch of other like health related things. We do harm reduction. We also do sexual health and reproductive education. So if you ever have any questions about that, please come talk to me. I'd love to connect with you. I also just want to take a minute and share some gratitude with you all. Jakai over here, for our cabinet meeting, had us all go around and share something that we're grateful for. And so I wanted to share a little bit of gratitude with you all. I am so grateful for each and every single one of you. I think that it takes a lot of dedication and commitment and passion to show up every single day here for multiple hours in not the most fun discussions sometimes. And I want you all to know that like every single thing that we do here at ASCSU could not happen without each and every single one of you. And I appreciate you all endlessly. So with that being said, I wanted to give you a couple of updates. We're doing mental health tabling next Wednesday, so November 20th from 11 to 2. That will be in ASCSU this time, so it'll give some folks a chance to kind of come into our office and explore kind of like what we have to offer, as well as get some sexual health and mental health resources from us. We'll have donuts and coffee, so please come swing by and grab yourself a little sweet treat for the day. And then our first ever, actually, this is the state of Colorado's first ever Student Basic Needs Summit is going to happen. So we're planning that in conjunction with ASCSU Housing Caucus and the Food Security Advisory Council. That will be the first intercollegiate summit for student basic needs that's ever happened in the state, which I think is really cool. We have a date set for that. So it's going to be April 6th of 2025. I'll also send you guys all a calendar invite. Each and every one of you has a space there if you want it. So please let me know if you're interested in attending. We'll make sure to prioritize some slots for you all. And then if you're also interested in planning at all and being on the planning committee, please come talk to me. We'd love to have you. That's going to be at the CSU Spur campus. They have very generously donated their entire theater and then some rooms for us. So it's going to be like a real conference style event with some really cool stuff. And we're hoping to also invite Colorado legislators to that session. So it would be a good time to both connect with other students who are doing the good work on their campuses and also folks at the state and local level who can help you get your vision passed through policy. And then lastly, you guys will be seeing a bill for the CSU pocket pantries coming through in the next couple of weeks. I wanted to just put that out there and let you all know that if you have any questions about that bill, please come talk to me or Deanna, who has been like such an amazing author for the bill. So thank you for doing that. That is different from the bill that you guys saw in August about the ASCSU pocket pantry. So that bill was supplying funding for hygiene items and then culturally competent food selection just for our pocket pantry. The bill that you're going to be seeing in the next couple of weeks is renewing the funding for the next 3 years for every single pocket pantry across our campus. So just wanted to make that delineation there. We're also asking for an increase in that funding. So if you have any questions or concerns about that, please come talk to me prior or like let me know to come to a committee, whatever that conversation will look like. But I want to make sure that you all feel good about that bill when it hits the floor. And then lastly, I'm going to give some updates on behalf of Lauren for Housing Caucus. Let me just pull them up real quick. So on Monday, we did an amazing event with the residents of Prospect Plaza and Student Legal Services. We had a Q&A and information session for them. If you don't know what's happening there, Prospect Plaza is an apartment complex owned by an offshoot of CSU, CSU Strata. They are demolishing and redeveloping those units. Right now, they're literally the most affordable rental units in the city of Fort Collins. They're planning to redevelop into luxury apartments, displacing current residents, and then not providing affordable housing in place of it. So we're doing some advocacy work. We had an amazing turnout. We had like 40 seats in our room. We had so many people come that people were sitting on the floors. So I think that like shows that there's a need for this information. And just wanted to make you all aware of that. We had 33 students out of 146 residents, which is about a fourth of residents, which is really good. And it was really awesome. We're also working on some next steps. We're planning to do a lunch with Student Legal Services because they've given us a lot of really great resources. And then our next meeting, which is this Friday at 9 a.m. in the conference room, will focus on debriefing the info session, our next steps for the rest of the semester, and then the affordability report. And what we're doing with the affordability report is we're creating a comprehensive overview of what it costs to live and be a student at CSU in Fort Collins. And that will give us a better baseline of data to kind of like promote different initiatives and ask for different policies to be passed around basic needs. So that's coming out. I hope to see all of you there. It's like one of my favorite caucuses that you all run. So thank you. That's all I had. Thanks for bearing with me.
Hi friends, I have a few things. Happy Wednesday though. So what I'll first say is I don't believe in congratulations in private, and I want to say that I texted this to you, but I want to say congratulations to Vlad and Micah. Thank you so much for helping and aiding students of the Oval Caucus in the ways that you do. The caucus was originally orchestrated from a bill I created last semester, and I think that when I entered the space, it was so great to be in community with like-minded people and do all the things. But then in thinking of what we do in practice, it's like we're the associated students, but I wonder how much we actually associate these students. And so this is kind of our way and our segue to make sure that we're actually doing that and holding true to the promises that we make to students. I mean, quite frequently. So I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. All right, I have a few updates. This week, I mentioned this last week in my exec report, but this week the executive cabinet has been doing evaluations for OTP, for each other, for departments. And it's important to me that we're doing this because I think that assessment is a great measure of how you do some things, not all things, right? For me in this role, it's been very imperative to know the pulse of our space as an executive cabinet so we can put the best things possible forward. So I'm just telling you that just so you know, like, what do I do? I do a few things, but that being one of them. So that's been this week, we've been doing evaluations and the executive cabinet is doing a 90-day post-hire survey. Can you believe it's only technically been around 90 days? The executive cabinet has been hired. Think about that. Crazy and time is flying. So that's what we've been working on this week. I want to say thank you. And I guess this is a great point of gratitude that I've had this week is thank you to all the people in this room who signed up for Ram Ride on Friday and making that happen. I think it's an incredible service opportunity. So I want to say thank you. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And Ram Ride is going to be a time and a half. I'm so excited for it. It's actually one of my favorite Ram activities. Nonetheless, our potluck on Friday is canceled. I am going to move it because of our parking situation on Friday, and I didn't realize how that interfered. My apologies. This is not a no, like it's not happening forever. It's going to happen. But the parking situation on Friday is a little bit tricky. So I apologize for that oversight that I did not have. But don't worry, you'll get another email blast from me again about this and making it happen. So my sincerest apologies. And lastly, next week, okay, this one is exciting. Everybody say woo woo. Can we do a woo woo like as a crowd? 1, 2, 3, woo woo. All right, next week at 5, CSU Marcom, so like CSU marketing, they're actually creating a new like promotional commercial, a new promotional commercial for students to advertise CSU as the great school that we know it to be. At 5 o'clock next week, it happens at Cabinet. So this could be like this could be like a double. What is it called? Two birds, one stone. This is like a two birds, one stone type of thing. If you haven't been to Cabinet this semester and you need to fill that requirement, something really fun is happening. They're going to spend about 30 minutes at Cabinet next week filming for our commercial, and they kind of want to look full in here. Cabinet isn't like that all the time because there's only 23 executive members. But if you want to join us next week, you have the option to join Cabinet from maybe 5 to 5:30, and then be in a commercial a few months from now. So it'll be super awesome. The opportunity is extended, and all you have to do is show up here at 5 o'clock next week. So I'm super excited about that. Let me know if you have any questions about the commercial, how it's happening, or if you need any more information in general. That's it. That's all. Thank you for your time. Have a safe night.
Thank you. With that, we'll move into judicial reports. Do we have anybody in judicial who wants to speak? Nope. And we'll move into legislative reports, beginning with officers. I think the only thing that I have is obviously Parliamentarian Canberra was not in today, so Senator Falbo is filling in. So huge thank you to him for that. I appreciate you stepping up to take on that task. That means a lot to me.
Howdy, y'all. If your name wasn't called, make sure to come to the front so that we can still get it listed. We don't have we have a funny sign-in sheet right now. Fill out the funny sign-in sheet or just talk to me if you filled out the funny sign-in sheet before. Additionally, strike emails will be sent out after this, tonight's session. A couple people have multiple strikes. If you have any questions regarding the strike policy or attendance policy, text me, teams me, email me, text, email, anyone from legislative cabinet and they can fill you in. That's all I have.
Parliamentarian Canberra, go ahead.
Hi everybody. Obviously I am really sick, otherwise I would be there. Two things. I think Reagan sees you all on the screen and wants to say hi. Reagan, say hi. Hi. And then also, please wash your hands. I almost yelled at a person the other day, walked out of the bathroom, didn't wash their hands. I had somewhere to be. I wanted to be petty. I wasn't. I wish I had been. So please make sure to cover your mouth when you cough, wash your hands. And take care of yourselves when you're not feeling well. If you Yeah, wash your hands. And if you have to go out while you're sick, Reagan, hold on. If you have to go out while you're sick, please wear a mask so you're not just like spewing your germs on everybody. It's just, we're getting to that season and we're at the tail end of the semester. It's not a great time to be sick. So take care of yourselves and your fellow Rams. Okay, say bye-bye, Reagan. Bye-bye. Okay. Thanks, y'all.
With that, we'll move into committee and caucus reports. Chair of the report.
Please come to our caucus. I'm begging you. Please. We did have one person show up. Thank you so much. But I would love to see those numbers grow. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Chair Porsky.
I am also going to be begging you to please show up to Women's Caucus. Women's Social Justice Caucus. It's amazing. It's at 12 o'clock on Mondays, and I usually just have it in the not in the conference room, in the company chairs. I like to keep it chill. Please, 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 please. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Snyder.
Much like everyone else, please, for all, that's good. That's good in the world. Go to Accessibility Caucus. Go to Accessibility Caucus. We're meeting this Friday from 4 to 5 in the lobby. So please be there. I want to talk about the Buttons Project.
Thank you. Chair Myers.
DEI met yesterday. We had a really great committee, even though we didn't have any bills. I had a student reach out, or research associate reach out to me with some concerns about a new engineering building that's going to be built. He raised some concerns about the corporate sponsorship or the potential corporate sponsorship of that building by companies like Lockheed Martin and a company named Planeteer. are overtly unethical companies. And so we had a really great conversation. He came to the committee virtually and shared his concerns with us, and just kind of talked about where we can go and things that we can do about that. So I think it was a really great committee. Yeah, it was 1 p.m. yesterday in the conference room. So please come to the EI committee next week. And because I'm also a CPMPS representative, get vaccinated, wash your hands, and wear a mask. Thank you.
I have a little bit of context to that, so I'll get in touch with you about the engineering building. We can talk about that since. With that, we'll move into Senator and Associate Senator reports. Chair Forsky.
I don't have much with the Safe Center. We had two events today. My lovely co-senator, Lauren Davis, is currently at one. It's a feminist open mic. And we had one earlier today that was the Loving Perception, Healing Reflection. It was a very beautiful event. I don't think we really have anything else coming up. It's just getting through the end of the semester, so just come into our space. It's a very chill space. I study in there all the time because it's quiet, so that helps. On a more personal note, it is National Diabetes Month, and tomorrow is National Diabetes Day. As you're friendly diabetic, look into diabetes and make sure that those around you don't get it or don't have it. Not you can't catch it. Let me preface that. I know that my mom had some information about it from a coworker from like 20 years ago, and that helped save my life. So you never know whose life you can save by knowing the symptoms and the signs. Anyways, that's it. I yield my time.
Thank you. Senator Rivera.
Hello, I only have two announcements today. Incentro's looking for volunteers to cook cute snowflakes, so if you're interested, please let me know. And Incentro will also be hosting Altar de Memorias it's a scholarship workshop. It's gonna be happening November 19th at 11:30 a.m. So if you wanna get any help in scholarships, please go to Incentro.
Thank you. Senator Minardi.
Hi, y'all. As always, we'll talk every Tuesday from 5 to 4 to 5 in the back office. Also tomorrow we have a roller skate night. Fun from 8 to 10. Fun roller skating. Who doesn't like to roller skate? I raise your hand if you don't like to roller skate. All right, but for those of you who do, just meet up at the back office at around 8. Yeah, I give them my time.
Thank you. Senator Warren.
Hey y'all, I got some gay stuff to talk about. So, Trans Day of Remembrance and Resiliency is November 20th, which is next Wednesday from 5:30 to 7:30. I'll be there. I'm helping to plan it, and I'll be wearing a pretty dress. So you'll get to see me in a pretty dress if you come. It'll be in the University Ballroom. And we also have Distinguished Lecture Series on Race, Gender, and Ethnic Studies. That is going to be happening on Tuesday, November 19th. We also have P-Flag is going to be having a family dinner over fall break on Wednesday, November 27th at 1 o'clock. You should go to that. That sounds like fun. There's also Pride Battles, which you can join and you can get alumni, staff, or faculty to write letters to and give you a gift. And who doesn't like a gift? Don't raise your hand. Yeah, and there's also a youth giving tree where if you know anybody 18 or in between 11 and 18 that wants a free gift, then or needs one, that's also good. Then they can sign up for that. I believe, yeah, that ends tonight. So if you want to do that, you should do that. I yield my time.
Thank you. Senator Luna.
Yeah, so regarding accessibility, if you're looking for a way to support disabled students on campus, that may be a little more immediate, a great way is to submit work orders on behalf of disabled students. If you encounter an inaccessible space, like a door button not working, stairs that are unstable, non-existence of a ramp, needed more signage, It's a really simple process that you can do through facilities. I'm currently working with Accessibility Caucus or planning to work with Accessibility Caucus on publishing a guide on how to put that out so that anyone can do it. But that's a really great way if you're able-bodied, because then an able-bodied person is encountering the accessibility issue before a disabled person is unable to attend their class for that reason. Going off of disabled students, we have a amazing committee for this process, Committee on Disabled Student Accessibility, otherwise known as CDSA. We met today and amended our bylaws, and then we also have a proposal form going out. And so we'll open requests for proposals starting in the spring. And that's a great way not only to access, make campus more accessible, but also if you have ideas for guest speakers and things of the sort to represent disabled persons or may benefit students with disabilities here on campus, we can review that and look for funding for that. So super cool. Not SDC related, but I thought I should bring it up for like intersectionality reasons. NAC, the Native American Cultural Center, is celebrating, there we go, Native American Heritage Month this month, which is super cool. And their next event is actually tomorrow. They're going to be at the Avenir Museum, which I'm pretty sure that's in the oh my gosh, the UCA, there we go, from 4 to 6, and they'll be welcoming authors and editors of National Parks Native Sovereignty, there we go, Experience in Collaboration, which is a book by the University of Oklahoma Press, just to talk a bit more about how we can improve Indigenous access, co-stewardship, and interpretation in national parks, which is super cool. And you can learn more about like how NAC is celebrating Native American Cultural Month or Heritage Month on their website.
Thank you. Senator McLaughlin.
Next Wednesday, basically all day, is the Graduate Students Showcase. So if you're interested in looking at the work of graduate students, learning about their research, go to that. I believe it's in the LSC.
Thank you. Then seeing no additional senator and associate senator reports, we'll move into conference business. With no old business, we'll move into Bill 5408, funding of CSU EMS service.
Bill 5408, funding of a CSU EMS service. Written by Cole Johnson, Associate Senator. This bill aims to provide funding for a pilot program of licensed EMS service run through CSU EMS Club. This funding would provide for both the hiring of a medical director to oversee and develop protocols and for student volunteer EMTs, to provide emergency medical services to CSU students at university events and on campus activities, as well as allow for the purchasing of necessary medical supplies to be used by CSU EMTs.
Thank you very much for that. So hello all, my name is Cole Johnson. For those of you that do not know me, my lovely associate up here is Jasper Kehoe. Correct? Perfect. He is the president of the CSU EMS Club and has done a ton of legwork to get this project to where it is. I have just kind of put the cherry on top, so to speak. And I would like to begin by just seconding what Parliamentarian Camber and Chair Myers have already said about washing our hands. Yeah, flu season, COVID season. Yeah, not a good time to get sick. I would also just like to say we have a PowerPoint presentation that we would like to include with this presentation. However, we had some delays in getting some of the financial numbers. We have a spreadsheet or two in the presentation. with a very detailed breakdown of the exact cost of certain materials that we felt would be very useful in being able to give you factual numbers of where the money for this bill is going. We understand that it was not able to be sent out in the weekly email, and promise it's a very short presentation, think about 14 slides long, and I would be happy to read it in full if that is something that would be agreeable to the rest of you.
So that would not be like a motion, that would just be, you would just like read the slides in full?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so getting into this, this bill is aimed to fund a CSU student-led EMS service here at CSU. As I've said, I'm Cole Johnson.
My name is Jasper Kehoe. I'm the president of CSU EMS. We've been in EMS for just under 5 years now, working here in Larimer County for both UC Health EMS and the Larimer County Sheriff's Office, providing medical care to CSU.
So the mission is to provide funding for CSU EMS to provide critical life-saving medical care to CSU staff and students, as well as providing continuing education and volunteering opportunities to aspiring medical professionals. The vision for this program is a 2-year pilot program for CSU EMS to provide supplementary EMS care for on-campus supporting events and general on-campus student medical emergencies. And as a quick disclaimer, all medical care provided by CSU EMS would be supplementary to the contract already filled by UC Health EMS. Just a very quick outline of the presentation. We're going to start by just giving a little bit of the history of the club and how we've kind of come to wanting to become a fully licensed EMS program, the goals for the program, how we plan on funding this, where the money in this bill will be allocated to, and finally addressing the need for a student-led EMS program. So I'm going to hand the mic over to Jasper to give some history of the club and the program.
Sure. So 3 years ago, I founded the club sitting in my dorm room. The club currently has about 40 members. We meet 2 times a month. Originally began as a support social group for emergency medicine workers. So EMS is very tightly knit. We just want to create a community for students here on campus. We offer trainings and continuing education for members. So we have speakers, we do a lot of training. And then we recently became a licensed EMS service through the state of Colorado. So the state of Colorado now recognizes us as an EMS service. And then lastly, we offer basic training to people who do not have EMS certification. So if you aren't nationally registered, we still wanted you to get some of those life-saving skills, including Narcan, CPR, stop bleed, dealing with massive hemorrhaging, and etc. So currently there are about 200 collegiate EMS services across the country. CSU doesn't have one. And for us, also the students would be volunteers to be required at least licensed in the state of Colorado and nationally. We'd be working under a medical director, a board certified emergency physician. And then currently there are 3 collegiate EMS programs currently in Colorado. So we have Denver University EMS, fully functioning 911 response. UC Boulder EMS is currently being built. We've been in close contact with them as well. And then Colorado College EMS is a volunteer program in Colorado Springs. Yeah, so medical directors are required for anything because in the state of Colorado, an EMT can't technically have a license, therefore they have to work under a medical director. These medical directors provide malpractice insurance, they provide
protocols, and standing orders that we can refer to rather than having to call a doctor to do anything for a patient. So we have standing orders. They kind of describe what we can do. And then on top of that, a medical director is someone that if we need to go outside of those orders, we're able to call 24/7 to receive approval from them to either continue to treat them in that pathway or to go down a different pathway to help the patient. Okay, so as far as funding goes, money's always the fun part with these bills. So executive branch has already earmarked $5,000 to contribute towards this. And this bill is currently asking for $20,000 from ASCSU to provide the majority of the funding for the pilot program. I know this sounds like a ton of money. It's not the most that's ever been asked of the Senate, but it is very substantial, especially for something like a 2-year pilot program. We will get to that in the later slides as to why this is so expensive. Jasper could probably speak a little bit more to the longevity of it, but hopefully, depending on the success of this 2-year pilot program, we would not be having to come back to ASCSU to ask for additional funding. We would instead be able to go to some of these organizations, such as the Colorado Department of Public Health, the National Collegiate EMS Association, CSU University Grants, University Safety and Risk Services, and SFRB for future funding. And I'm not a business major. Jasper is not either. But any of y'all have seen Shark Tank. It's really important if you're getting investment that a lot of investors want to see success of a program before they contribute a large portion of money to that. So we hope to, with this $20,000 or $25,000 total from both exec and Senate, that we are able to get this program off the ground, running successfully, and have some proof of success to show these future sources of funding. So I'm going to defer to Jasper to break down a little bit of the specifics of where this money is going to be going.
So for anyone who's been to a hospital, they know medicine's not cheap. So this is going to break down a cost kind of our non-medical supplies and our medical supplies. So for these, we need to look like an EMS service so that when someone does call 911, we are able to respond in a professional manner. So uniforms, medical supplies, radios, and computers we have for $15,000. One radio that the law enforcement or any public safety employee here in the county uses costs about $7,000. So we need at least a couple of these to be able to operate, talk to our dispatcher, and be able to be sent to these calls. So that's the first thing. And then secondly, a computer, the ones that are sitting kind of in police cars or on ambulances or on the fire department trucks. Those are, again, somewhere in the $5,000 to $7,000 range. So this public safety equipment is really expensive. And then secondly, is our medical director contract is written in for about $10,000. We have a medical director that his name is Dr. Tyler Vaughn. He is the current medical director for both Poudre Fire Authority and UC Health EMS. So by utilizing him, we'd be able to continue a continuity of care between all of our protocols. And he's already giving us a discount, but an average medical director costs about $250 to $500 an hour of their time. And we do require them to go over our patient contacts and write these protocols along with meetings, doing quality assurance. So we do require them for a couple of hours a week, but the Dr. Vaughn is already giving us a discount. So continuing on with money. So this larger scale here is going to be breaking down everything that a normal fire department truck is going to carry in for a medical. So the ambulances are a little higher stock than this, but because we won't be covering the UC Health contract, we will be just going with what the fire department uses. So what's a first out bag? So think of any bag that goes in on the call is going to be this large thing. We have the quantity in the bag. We have the broken down cost per item, the bag total,
And then over here we have the package because we can't just buy one Band-Aid. We have to buy a box of Band-Aids. So breaking that down is going to be the package quantity, the cost of the entire thing. So that would be the kind of final total here. On top of that, medications require medical director sign off. So we will be carrying medications. Think of epinephrine for EpiPens, Narcan, things of that nature. Life-saving medications are going to be breaking down to just about $925. So those are going to be in the first out bag. Some noticeable things here also are our portable AEDs. We are required to be utilizing a specific company, which is Zoll Products. That way we can tie in and continue that continuity of care for cardiac arrests while doing CPR. So that Zoll AED is really that largest cost here for about $3,000. So the reason that we have to use specific equipment is because if for some reason we are unable to treat the patient and finish continuity of care on the scene, and they do require a higher level of medical care, such as transport to a hospital or a specific rated trauma center, we have to be able to say, for any of y'all that have taken a CPR class, you know that there are AED pads that go on a patient's chest to where they have to get shocked. If we are transporting a patient to a different facility, they have to be able to hook up to the same pads. They can't be reapplied. They just have to be able to quickly change to ensure that the patient has the best quality of continued care. And then these are the other two. So we have two additional bags that we'd be carrying. The first one is going to be a specific airway bag. So airway equipment, including oxygen tanks, things of that nature, and tubing, is going to be broken down here. Again, the same way with the quantity, single item total within the package quantity, and then the grand total as well. So that's going to be over here. And then secondly are going to be our what we call our pediatric bag. I know that a lot of students here are not pediatric children, but we do still have people coming onto campus with little kids, and it is not unheard of to have a child birth on campus. And so this is required. So we're able to, under actually our scope of practice, we are able to deliver a child. Anyways, so here requires all the smaller equipment that a child requires, along with that OB kit to be able to deliver that child. So that's really important. It's a specialized piece of equipment that we would be required to have. So CSU EMS has required or acquired a large amount of university support. So when we first started talking about this project about 2 years ago, we went to CSU PD and CSU Risk Management. So we have endorsements from the Chief of Police, Jay Callahan, the two supporting captains, Captain Clement and Captain Miser. And then Casey Thielman has been a great help with community outreach through the police department. Secondly, Mark Barker, the Assistant Vice President of Safety and Risk Services, has also been incredibly helpful with supporting this. Nicole Reed, the CSU Emergency Manager, and then Dr. David Thompson. He is an emergency medicine physician with experience as a medical director and is currently the Health and Exercise Science Medical Director. So to kind of wrap things up a little bit, I'll have Jesper speak on some of his personal experiences. One of the very difficult things about being a trained first responder is that most people that go into that field have a heart to serve, to protect people that are experiencing. We're trained. Sometimes people get really angry or aggressive towards first responders, and you're trained to not take it personally because for you, it's another day on the job. For that person, it's probably one of, if not the worst days of their lives. And it's very hard to help these people going through such difficult things when you don't have the adequate equipment or personnel on hand to give that patient the level of care that they deserve in the moment. As an off-duty EMT, you are under no legal requirement to go up to that person and help them. It is completely of your own volition. But if any of y'all know any first responders, I am sure y'all will be very hard pressed to find someone that would not immediately step in to help someone that was in need, even if they were off the clock. So as many of y'all know, we have had, especially with recent pieces of legislation going over the CSUPD alert text messages, we've had a number of incidents, not just recently, but over the past couple of years, where students or staff have required immediate medical attention. I can remember there was an unfortunate young lady in one of the dorms my sophomore year, so this would have been 2021 or 2022, that unfortunately passed away due to anaphylactic shock in her dorm room. There are some, the nature of emergency medicine is that things happen. You can't save everyone, but the hope is that by CSU having an emergency medical service in operation, that we'd be able to respond to and hopefully treat students in dire need of medical aid immediately. I'm going to pass the mic to Jasper as a really interesting story of something that he was involved with very recently.
Sure. So I want everyone to think of the RAM scalar, right? Downstairs, down the stairs, take a left. So I'm sitting with our vice president and a member of CSU EMS. We're sitting right outside. We have just ordered our alcoholic beverage. We've not even taken a sip at this point. We're sitting there, and you know what we're talking about? We're talking about funding for CSU EMS. We're trying to figure out how to fund this. And this fantastic wing shop employee, where we had also ordered some food from, he walks past us, and not 5 feet from us, he collapses. Actually starts seizing. He is shaking. He is pounding his head against the ground. He is not being able to breathe. And the three of us, 3 nationally certified EMTs, all look at each other, and instantly we all stand up and rush to a date. We're volunteers at this point. We have no reason that we have to help him. But all we have done is we've decided to take a time from our day with our training to help possibly save this man's life. We put him in the recovery position. We have a bystander call 911. We make sure that he's okay. And as soon as he comes to consciousness, if anyone has seized or has seen someone seize, they know it is an incredibly scary experience. This man is freaking out. He's trying to fight us. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know what's happened. And we're able to sit there next to him with his bloody face, and we're able to say, hey, we're EMTs. We're here to help you. So we get there. First people on scene, CSU PD. It is Sergeant Matt Snyder. I know him from public outreach with CPR, and he looks at me and goes, Jasper. And I go, hey, Matt. He goes, what's happened? And I go, this man's had a post-ictal phase. He had a tonic-clonic seizure. He's okay. And Matt goes, thank you for being here. Second person gets on scene. It is Engine 2, right by City Park with Food Priority. They go on scene. They go, what happened? And Matt goes, points directly at me. And I go, well, Captain, this is what happened. And I give the continuity of Claire to the fire department. And I go sit down with our vice president, our EMT, and we're all standing there saying, hey, good job. Lastly, it is UC Health EMS, and it is a former partner of mine. Her name is Brittany Bethel. We get there. Brittany looks at me and goes, what happened? And I go, seizure. Captain knows what's going on. At this point, I realized we need this. We really need to push this because this situation could have gone so much worse. This man could have died. Thank goodness there were 3 EMTs standing there. So that is a story from me about one of the times that this has happened. I lived in these dorms, and as an EMT, I stood there with a burst out bag that you've seen on the screen, bought with my own equipment or my own money for these students that somehow found out that I was an EMT sitting in the dorms. I responded to broken arms. I responded to alcohol intoxication. I responded to anaphylaxis. I responded to diabetic emergencies, all sitting in the dorm room. Lastly, when we first came here, Cole was talking about how we didn't have any experience. This isn't an operational
service yet. And so we wanted to figure out if we could get any form of data. So 2 years ago, we polled many students. We found out that according to CSU PD, over the last 3 years, there have been over 1,200 calls for service. That is medical calls alone. That is not police. That is fire and fire and EMS. When we asked students, we asked them 5 questions, but the main 2 ones that we asked were the amnesty laws, if they were familiar with them. The amnesty laws are a set of laws here in Colorado where students, regardless of if they're impaired, underage drinking, anything like that, if they are calling to help someone, they are not responsible. They're not going to be prosecuted. They're not going to be put in trouble. They're completely free from the law. This is part of the Good Samaritan Act within Colorado. So we asked students, are you familiar with this? And 73% of them did not know what the law was. And that could have changed an outcome possibly for that student that passed away due to anaphylaxis. The second law that we asked was, would they be more comfortable calling if they knew that student EMTs were going to respond rather than law enforcement? I mentioned for that call, first person that showed up was a cop. Cop's not an EMT. Would they be more comfortable if they knew that students were going to be coming that were trained and nationally certified? And they said yes. So we have over 90% of students that want us to be here. Before we fully, oh geez, holy cow. Before we fully close out this presentation, I just wanted to say that I love my job. I'm sure Jasper loves his job. It is truly awesome. I can't really see myself doing anything else. And if any of y'all would like to ask myself, I can't really say this for Jasper, but a lot of EMTs have a lot of really interesting stories. More than happy to fill any questions y'all might have about our personal careers as EMTs after the Senate session. But thank you all so much for your time. And yeah, we look forward to hearing some questions from you.
Then we'll begin Q&A with Chair Gorski.
First of all, this is incredible. I am in just awe of that all that you're doing. And I think it's needed, very much needed. And this is what college is for, is to help get experience. And if we can also help the students on campus, like it's a win-win. My only question is, have you reached out to any of the other campuses? And I'm sorry, this was in the presentation. Other campuses that have already established these programs to kind of help guide along that process.
Yeah, so I've made personal trips down to Denver University EMS to talk to their manager. They have a full-time EMS manager. I've gotten a tour of their facilities, their training programs, their protocols, everything like that. And along with that, I come from Indiana University where I got my EMT. They also have a collegiate EMS program. I believe I've reached out to over 30 EMS services in this United States to kind of ask them about how they run.
Thank you. Beautiful. Okay, that's an amazing answer. Thank you, and I really hope this gets passed.
Thank you. Senator Boyne.
Hi. I also really hope this gets passed. I think this is an amazing thing. My question is, or this might be a thing, a common sense for EMTs. I'm not an EMT, so I don't know. But would you guys respond to like mental health emergencies as well?
Yes. Short answer, yes. Long answer, yeah. Essentially anything that would come through dispatch, hence the need for these really, really absurdly expensive radios. Any sort of mental health crisis, as if it gets called in through 911, we're going to be there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you. Senator Guerrero.
Hello. Um, I really, really support what you're doing, and I think we can all tell how passionate you are about your initiative, and that it's coming from a good place. My question, I actually have two questions. The first one is how confident you feel about the logistics of the program. I think my only like concern is that you'll receive the funding and you have like the awesome idea, but when it comes into fruition, is there any chance of like a rocky infrastructure? I think that's something that's really significant in considering something that's so vital and necessary and something that's like considerably expensive. Could you speak on that a little bit?
So absolutely. I think one thing that we didn't add to the presentation was normally 24 hours, 7 days a week, you can call 911 and you'll get emergency responders. Throughout the past couple of years, I've worked night shift. I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday night shift. Or actually, I Thursday through Sunday night shift. That was 12 hours, and that is, according to the data, the highest rate of 911 calls here at CSU, specifically to the dorms and to the rec. So the pilot program initially was for 6 hours, 8 hour shifts. I apologize. 8 hour shifts on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. So we're not able to, we'll respond during the peak hours. And then once we see that it is viable after these 2 years, we'll be able to go into a more 24-hour position. That's why we're not changing our contract with ECL.
So I'm going to add something to that too. So another thing that we mentioned that it is purely a supplemental EMS service to our existing contract with UC Health. At one point, Jasper, we had a Rambulance. Is that correct? Rambulance. Looks exactly like the Ghostbusters car. I'm not even joking. It's crazy. And for yeah, it's from the 60s. Unfortunately, ambulances are, if this seems insanely expensive, a funding and staffing and supplying a ambulance is ludicrously expensive. And as a pilot program, that's not really where we need to start. So say for instance, if a call is able to be treated on scene, render full care, patient signs off on, hey, rolled my ankle, or hey, I was choking on something and they all came in and did the Heimlich maneuver and did the airway stuff and I didn't need to go to the hospital. That's great. Forms are signed, no ambulance ride needed. If, however, there was a call necessitating ambulance transport, since we still do have that contract with UC Health, essentially what would happen is we would put in a radio call for transport essentially, and an ambulance crew would come pick up as the EMTs, the CSU EMTs are providing care on scene in the meantime. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
I also want to say thank you guys for your services. Awesome. Second question was, and it's okay if you don't have an answer to this. It's just something that I think it's worth talking about, especially considering obviously our current political climate. But as per my, responsibility to my constituency, what would you do in a situation hypothetically if you had to answer a call for students who were undocumented? How would that, what if a student, what would you say for a student who was in a life-threatening situation, but their worry was about their legal status?
So there a lot of people confuse EMTs, paramedics with the police. We are not the police. We are not there to arrest anyone, to subject anyone to any sort of prejudice. For us, a human life is a human life, regardless of race, creed, gender, sexual orientation, anything like that.
we take the responsibility of having someone's life in our hands very seriously, and all that matters to us is just your well-being, regardless. There's no sort of prejudice. We're taught a lot in EMT school. We're given a lot of like mental thoughts, even to the idea of, say, you pull up to a like a car accident where a drunk driver just killed a family of four with little kids, and can you mentally put yourself in the mindset to give the drunk driver the adequate medical care he needs, despite fully knowing what he's done? And it's an important skill for first responders to have. It's also why CSU EMS Club was founded in the first place, because those kinds of things do take a very heavy mental toll. But yes, to answer your question, it does not matter at all the legal status of whether or not someone's a U.S. citizen. We're obligated as first responders to provide equal care to everyone. Sorry, Jessica's gonna add something.
Yeah, so just to add to him, again, everybody's treated completely equally, and also EMTs are not required to disclose any of that information to law enforcement. It's all protected under HIPAA, so they won't even go to law enforcement about that. They have requirements for what they have to go to law enforcement about, sexual assault, domestic abuse, things of that nature, but undocumented is not under that.
Thank you so much, and I yield.
Thank you. Senator Luna.
Yeah, I had a clarification question regarding the first airport clause. It stated that $20,000 to be allocated to provide funding for the 2-year pilot program. Just for clarification, is it $20,000 total that will be distributed over the 2 years? So 10,000 for year one, 10,000 for year two, or are you requesting 40,000, 20,000 for year one, 20,000 for year two?
It would be 20,000 total.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Associate Senator.
Yeah.
What is your name again?
Andre Machine.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for your speech. I really liked it. And I also have here another representative from Guardians who was helping me. So just 2 questions for you. The first one, when you say supplemental, does it mean that you are the only one on call when there are a lot of emergency calls coming in?
So when we say supplemental, we don't intend to change the current emergency management system here at CSU, where you call 911 and an ambulance and fire engine are dispatched to you. We plan to augment the system, is maybe a better word, to send our EMTs along with the ambulance and provide care as a kind of initial responders before the ambulance makes it onto campus.
Okay, and the following up question, so does it work in this way that, for example, if the primary EMS vehicles have a lot of responses, are you going to be participating? Like, I mean, if all the students
So that was the time limit on Q&A.
I ask for 5 more minutes.
Okay, does that motion have a second to add 5 minutes of Q&A?
Second.
Does that motion have any dissent? Yeah, Q&A will be extended by 5 minutes. You can continue.
Do you think? Yeah. Do you think this would raise CFS calls from students in situations of assault, domestic violence, etc., since the program would be run student volunteers?
Yeah, as we talked about in our presentation, it was like 90% of old CSU students said that they'd be far more comfortable contacting 911 in the event of an emergency, domestic assault, sexual assault, things of that nature, if they knew that student volunteers were going to be the first ones on scene.
Are you?
Thank you. Senator Roy.
Hi friends, I just want to say thank you first. My father, my friends, and myself have been stabilized by first responders. So first, I want to thank you for that. First question would be, will this care be solely for, will this care be solely for CSU students?
No, so this is going to be for anyone on CSU campus, students, faculty, staff, guests, volunteers, anyone that is standing on property will be able to be receiving this care.
And then as a second question, will patients have to pay for your services? Are you?
Thank you. Excuse me, Chair Board Corner.
Thank you so much for answering that first question that Diana made. I think that my question for you is, I know that that you have to provide service for undocumented students, but how are you going to let the undocumented community know that you will provide these services without them fearing for their status? Will you release a public statement? Will you release something? Like, what will you do in order for the undocumented community to know that you're on their side?
So the current plan is that we're going to be pushing marketing plan out to CSU to let people know about CSU EMS's formation and kind of the care that they offer. And we're likely going to be offering insights of who can call everyone, and then kind of what will happen once we go on scene. And we're definitely going to advocate for everyone to call, regardless of any preconceived ideas or concerns with calling 911. We want to make sure that everyone feels as comfortable as possible calling.
Yeah, with that, I would honestly I'm gonna be honest with you, the way that to do it is to be straight up about it. Just literally just say we provide support for undocumented students in order for us to know. You can't beat around the bush by saying oh, our services are for everyone. Because obviously sometimes we don't feel included in that. So that's what I would recommend. Just be straight up about it and be your legal status doesn't matter or something like that.
I think that's a great idea. And I think coming here, I've never been to Senate. Hearing about all these committees, I think partnering with them would be a fantastic way to improve the accessibility for CSU EMS.
Thank you. Associate Senator. Tell me again how to pronounce your last name.
It's Judah.
Thank you.
So going back to what Senator Green had asked about mental health responding, I'm not exactly really well versed in the EMT certifications and all that, but on the lines of being mental health responders, would you guys say that you're well prepped to respond to those cases of mental health? Because I know in a lot of law enforcement, they're not really prepped with how to respond to mental health situations. So I was just wondering, do you guys think you are well prepped? And if not, what will you do to be better, I guess, handlers of those situations?
So, a big, one of the first things you're taught as an EMT is about various forms of consent, since we cannot provide care unless someone wants to be cared for. And there are extenuating circumstances to that, right? Especially in mental health emergencies, people are sometimes not acting like themselves or would make the same decisions they would otherwise. So yes, we have a lot of training and are pretty well, I shouldn't say pretty well. We are very well equipped to be able to handle those. And another big part of emergency services is kind of the idea that there's always a bigger fish. There's always someone above us that's more trained, been to a lot more schooling, and have to know those times when it is appropriate to ask for help from higher ups. That's one of the big reasons why we have medical directors. And some of those extenuating circumstances is we can call them at any time and ask them for guidance of how to approach a specific situation. So that was the time limit once again on Q&A. We can have a motion to extend that again if folks want to. If not, we can just move on.
Motion to extend.
And by how much?
5 minutes.
We have a motion to extend Q&A by 5 minutes. Does that motion have a second? Does that motion have any dissent? Okay, Q&A will be extended by 5 minutes. Thank you. Senator Smith.
Hi everyone, Senator Smith here from the PSC. So Real quick, I had a question and I was just curious about the longevity of the program. So I know it's a 2-year pilot study and I think it's great, but I'd also like to be curious about further on plans after the 2-year study because this would be something great to keep going on after the 2 years. And I also was curious about if you guys had plans on broadening it out further.
So our current plans for expansion, I'll start with that first. Our current plans for expansion are to see if this is a viable option first off. And if it is, we'd like to transfer this to a 24-hour service. Whereas instead of students just sitting around, they're able to go to class and all they carry with them is a pager of sorts and with a note to their professors just saying, I'm part of this organization. If this goes up, I will be allowed to leave class with no issues. And so being able to respond while also being a student allows them to get those contact hours. And then secondly, you asked about funding. So with the executive board, we talked a little bit about increasing the student fee and talking with the student fee advisory board. That would be maybe a couple of percentage, 1 or 2, I think we were discussing. And then on top of that, we were talking with safety and risk services about if this becomes a viable option, being able to be penciled in, similar to how CSU Police Department is penciled in for their own budget. We'd get a budget from them as well.
Thank you. Senator Quayle.
Hi, yes, you guys, my current understanding of this was that anytime a call is made, it would go to you and the police as well. However, you mentioned that sometimes there's a hesitancy because of police involvement, and I was just wondering if it was like within the scope or there was a plan to have a hotline that goes just to you for those students who would be hesitant to call because they worry about legal issues. Thank you.
So we haven't looked into that too much, but as Cole mentioned, going into these situations that are high stress, high tense, in those situations is dangerous for us. I've been stabbed on duty. I wear a sick vest. So I think initially the plan would be to continue that police response, whereas them having to barge in as the first responder that's arriving to the scene maybe wouldn't happen. They'd be able to stand back, receive the kind of the important details for their report, but not having to do that direct patient contact where they're, maybe not even being seen. They're hanging out in their patrol vehicle, something like that, where we're able to go in first and make them a little bit more comfortable.
Great, thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you. Senator Rivera.
Hello. I think, first of all, I think this is an awesome idea and I hope it gets implemented onto campus. My question is, what strategies will be in place to ensure that language barriers do not hinder responders when interacting with students? Will there be like language training, bilingual staff, or translation tools available to like ensure clear communication and effective response in such situations?
Yeah. So it's funny that you mentioned that. We, to my knowledge, have not explored super heavily into that. Although that is an excellent area in which we absolutely will explore. I, at the very beginning of the semester, did a week-long surgical mission trip down in Honduras, where my Spanish is terrible. And it was really humbling to get to work with such awesome people down there that were able to translate for me and help me to recognize how much of a need that is. I know that there are a lot of like translation apps that can be really useful in a pinch. And like we've mentioned before, like it's almost impossible for us to treat a patient without their explicit consent. So yeah, that's an excellent point, and we will look further into that. Yes, Jasper. Yeah, go.
So our goal here is to not reinvent the wheel. So we are looking at kind of what local public safety partners are utilizing. So with my connection with the sheriff's office, they have kind of a call-in tool that they're able to utilize. We're looking at what CSU Police Department is using. UC Health has an option within the hospital. The fire department has something as well, kind of outside of the hospital. So we have a lot of options so that we don't have something immediately implemented. We know that there are providers that are within the system that we can call on to provide those services while we're still kind of
ironing out everything for our procedure.
And we have hit the time limit on Q&A once again. We could have a motion to extend that if folks want to. We do have a few people left on the list. If not, we'll just send this to committees and move on. Okay, and this will be sent to Budgetary Affairs Committee, Internal Affairs Committee, and University Affairs Committee. Yeah. Oh, do you want it to? Yeah, that'll be sent to DEI committee too. This will be sent to all of the committees then. And with that, we'll move into ending roll call. Senator Luna.
Motion to begin the roll call, as any roll call, while adding people in.
Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, seeing none, we can do that, and this meeting is adjourned. Have a good night.
Presentation.
Thank you, I appreciate
Yes. Okay.